Advisory Council's presentation on influencers, how to use them and how to become one. I'm Christine Caldwell. I work for a nonprofit in the area for Community Investment Collaborative. I'm the Entrepreneur Impact Manager, and I'm here to make sure your questions get asked and the presentation goes well. Thank you everyone for being here. So to kick things off, can each of you share who you are, what you do, and how influencer marketing, either using it or becoming it, has played a role in your business or personal journey? Anyone can start.
I thought we were going to start with you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kylie Dahl, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am the founder of Wings of Growth, which is my nonprofit, and also Business in a Box. For me, the influencer market has really been about trust and storytelling. You know, I have been in Culpeper for about, actually 10 years, if you can believe it. Wow. And, you know, it's interesting with the influencers and it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about, you know, the followers. It's really about the storytelling and finding connections, opportunities that really, really help and grow and scale my business.
Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm Tori Buell. I'm a business development and program manager for Culpeper Tourism and Town Economic Development. Kind of following up on that, influencer marketing has become a very indispensable strategy that businesses use nowadays, especially in the tourism sector. About 2/3 of travelers say that influencers actually influence where they're going to stay. So in Culpeper, we try to harness that power by collaborating with influencers who genuinely connect with our community to bring them in here and then inspire action from visitors to come here.
Love that. Awesome.
I'm Allison Williams, and I'm a fashion and art influencer on Instagram and TikTok. And my, I guess, career as an influencer so far has mostly been focused on just me following my passions authentically and just seeing if anyone else wants to join me for the ride as I discover how I want to express my creativity.
And hi, I'm Chloe Williams. I'm a fashion influencer on Instagram, and honestly, it kind of happened by accident. So I can't say I wanted to be an influencer, but now that I am, it's helped me to, I guess, grow my personal brand and make a lot of new connections across the world. And honestly, it's led me to try a lot of new and like exciting experiences that I don't think I would have had the opportunity to do so without. So it's been pretty cool.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. What role does authenticity play in influencer marketing? Today, how do you maintain it?
We're going to start with this thing. We're going to do it's a routine. You got it.
We'll do that.
So I feel without authenticity, influencing and influencers, it's just noise. So I love that I hear these words and it's just the creativity is really, really awesome. I only promote what I believe in and what I would actually recommend, whether I was an influencer, whether I was being paid or not. So I can only sell what I believe in. And that I think is just on the long run of trust through that market.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the foundation of success for influencers. Really, we encourage when we bring people in. We've brought in a handful of influencers into Culpeper. A lot prioritize experiences and like foodie experiences as well. The number one looked at thing on our website, our taglines, our metadata is based off of food here. So we bring a lot of food-based influencers. So we go with the people that bring in unscripted, honest experiences that adds to that authenticity. It also builds their credibility and deepens the engagement with followers. So we try to cultivate that trust through that just authentic experience that is presented through unscripted visits.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing, Allison.
Authenticity is really important for both the brand and the influencer. I mean, in my experience, I've had brands reach out to me where I had to reject the opportunity because I was like, this is not even if it's something that I do like, it's not something that I would promote to my followers because it's not something that I've expressed interest in before. And it wouldn't really make sense for me to spring that on them just because I was given the opportunity to do so. So I think it's just really important to do that because they can tell when you're not being authentic. So I think it's important to keep that consistent.
Love that. Chloe.
I'm gonna take a look at this from like a business, from the side of the business. I don't think I would work with an influencer that doesn't seem like they have a genuine interest in working with me. Or like if their page or like what they, I guess, reflects doesn't seem like it works well with my brand, then I wouldn't work. So I think being authentic as the business owner and picking your influencers so that they seem like they would align with your business is just as important as the influencer being authentic with their audience. Because if they are trying to promote something that they don't align with, their audience is going to feel that. Like if you create art that you don't align with, you feel it when it comes out. You're like, oh, I'm not attached to this. This doesn't really mean anything to me. And I feel like if everyone can see that, then it's not going to be a good exchange to start. So from both angles, it's important for everyone to be kind of on the same page about, I wouldn't say everything, but
Yeah, very insightful. So all of you brought up the, about being a brand and that sort of thing. How do you determine what your brand is or businesses that are good to be the match? What is it? What's that defining factor that say, well, I'm not going to have that influencer, I'm not promote that influencer because what is it about your brand that is that, that fits your personal brand? What is it?
I love this question because for me, I feel that for example, at Business in a Box, I promote and support the businesses that are coming up. So sometimes I'm looking at influencers for my own brand, but I'm also helping others do that as well. And brand partnership is so important. So the 3 filters that I have for myself and that I teach is, does it align with my mission? If it doesn't, no. Will it serve my audience? Because just like you said, your audience knows, like, is this real? Like all of a sudden you've kind of changed and that kind of feels weird. You liked yellow before, but now you're saying you love pink, so that's very simple, but still. And then would I again share it, even if I wasn't being paid? So that's really, really being back into that brand partnership. And if these all 3 are not a yes, then it's a complete pass for me and like also what I teach.
Very good. Tori.
Absolutely. So with our brand, which is Visit Culpeper, which is that rich history, modern charms, see all over the place. We actually have 2 audiences. So we have the external audience, which is the people coming into Culpeper, but we also have the people within Culpeper so they're 2 very different audiences that we're trying to essentially influence to come out, shop local, but also come in to Culpeper and shop local, right? So we spend a lot of time working with people who bring that community focused influence, unique experience influence, and they have to kind of align with those 2 elements. And that's how we really bring it down. We also have the benefit of using individual tools. We have a lot of assets in our and resources in our department. Items like Tagger, which is brought through Sprout Social, which will help us determine if an individual, what do they normally post? What are their normal engagement rates? What hashtags do they click? So that way we can even break it down to see if their brand aligns with our brand, because our main focus is tourism. And so it's not always going to be XYZ cookie cutter on if their brand aligns with us, but if their niche market, if say they love to go to all the Thai restaurants in Virginia, of course we want them to go to Pinto Thai. Of course we want them to do that. So of course we might just kind of one off on that one. But say they're into history. The number 3 reason people come to Culpeper out of our visitor center data is history. The number 2 reason is friends and family. The number 1 reason is dining and shopping. And so we are trying to hit people that align with those just niche markets to bring them in as it kind of relates to our 2 different audiences in our brand.
Very, very nice. Allison.
The point that you made about niche is actually really good because I feel like when you're just starting out looking for influencers to work with, that's the most important thing that you could go for, is just making sure that their niche lines up with the things that you're trying to promote. if you're, say, a fashion brand, you probably shouldn't go for the influencer that is wearing sweatpants all the time, because I think it's pretty clear that they might not be that into fashion. So it's just looking at what they usually promote without it being a brand deal, and then just seeing would it make sense for them to work with you, right?
Very good point. And Chloe,
From the influencer side, honestly, this is how I've determined which brands to work with. If I'm not excited to work with them, I'm just not gonna do it, because I don't think I'm gonna like do a good job. Kind of in the same way, I guess, I feel like it comes all back to like creating art. Because that's what you do when you're like posting things online. It is somewhat of an art form. So I feel like if you wouldn't make art that you weren't excited to make, because then it comes out bad. So in the same way, if I'm not thrilled to work with them, and especially, I feel like someone brought up, like, if they haven't done this before, and then like suddenly they're working with this. I guess if they've never had the opportunity, that could come off like a little bit strange, but I think if your excitement and like genuine interest in the brand that you're working with comes out in the stuff that you put out, then it's not as jarring. But again, I guess if it has to do with like things that you align with or beliefs, where it's like kind of like a switch up, then that's a little bit weird. But I would say genuine interest in brands, I think, is what would determine whether I work with them or not.
perfect. Thank you. So we heard about, alignment with mission and the audience. Are they going to connect with your audience? Are they going to be authentic to share? If the community aligns with what your niche is, all over, and then be excited, or you want to share this with the people you want to, with your audience. But how do you know you're being successful? What's your measure of success with all of those things?
The measure of success comes in a lot of different ways, I think, for a lot of different people. It's beyond likes and hashtags and followers, because what does that do? For me, I think it's about engagement and the conversations that you can have, because sometimes, you can have a like, but where does that go? What's that person like? Smiley face, but what kind of conversation can you grab from that? So I like to measure from the conversations, the leads, the lasting impact that it has for the business, and also just simply the opportunity. Open the doors, and where are those conversations going?
I love that. Very cool. Okay, Tori.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100% agree. Success it's all qualitative and quantitative in most things. So what we look for specifically, just on our end, is a lot of those quantitative remarks. So we look through the click-through rates, which should be between 1.5 to 3%, just as an industry average. We look through conversion rates, which is between 1 and 5% during the initiative. We also analyze referral traffic via tracking links. We pay close attention to the foot traffic and data location software that we have through Placer before and after campaigns. We also get feedback from business partners who we have sent an influencer to see if there's an increase in sales before and after the campaign. But we also take those and then we bring in those qualitative data as well. So we bring in, what kind of comments are made, what kind of engagements are had, what kind of conversations are made from it. So we take all of that to build the kind of longer term growth that we have in tourism here.
Very cool. That's great. And then I'm very interested to hear about the influencers and the actual influencers in the room. What's your measure of success?
I would say one of the biggest things for me is just gaining experience from the opportunity in general, but also the networking aspect of it. A lot of times I've had like a good experience with a certain brand, and then they come back and they want to do another collab. And when that sort of thing happens, that's when I know that the interaction that was successful. When I know that I was able to produce something that they could use and that they really liked and that they did enough to come back.
Love the collaboration. That's very cool.
Oh, measure of success is quite, it's almost like traumatic. Because it's like, I don't know, how does society measure success? It's usually in like, oh, how many likes or like views do you get? And I honestly hate that, because I've had things that have been successful and I wasn't trying for it to be like something bigger with algorithms these days. they pick one thing and they blow it up, and you wouldn't expect it to be the thing that takes you from one goal to another goal. So I honestly don't equivalent, like, oh, what's the word? I wouldn't equate success to numbers in that sense. For me, because what I like doing is building a community, is if it gets people talking and talking with each other, like, so that they have like interactions with each other, that's where I see something as successful. So if it's enough to create a conversation, then I think that's better than just having a bunch of people see something, because people see the news. But at this point, like, I guess sometimes there are things that are just made to be popular and not necessarily good. So I would say success is more of a measure of making a community.
So interesting. So we have, from our measurement standpoint, we have the data analytics, all that sort of thing. But the key part, networking, conversation, excitement, right? So being a person is actually important. And as a small plug, the chamber offers plenty of networking opportunities anytime. But I love too that you mentioned something that is very not often offered is, did I achieve my goal? So Chloe said, it's more than just, I thought I was gonna make goal, but then went to like goal 2 without even knowing it. So it doesn't always have to be numbers. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So what is the process for a small business, our audience here, entering into a relationship with influencers and working with an influencer? What does that process look like? And does it cost anything?
So for me, again, I'll say that I do this for myself and then I also teach it. So I love this because every single small business is different. So I think it's relatively easy to start doing the research on who you are and what brands that you would either want to help you be an influencer on. So if you are a tourism brand, you're looking for people that are in the tourism business. Again, the chefs, the shoppers and all that. But maybe you are in the horse business. So really doing the research is really, really important. And today it actually becomes much easier. Honestly, ChatGPT will be your best friend in the sense of just helping you research who it is. And then what you're going to do, you're going to be real. You're going to find what social channels they're on, because every single one of them is going to be different. Fashion is different than business. And maybe you've got Facebook in your area, but IG, so find where they're at, reach out to them, be real, do not pitch them. Don't be phony. Don't be like, hey, look at me. I want to be able to work with you, or I want you to work with me, but engage with them. Find out, follow their posts. So really do that research and then talk about collaboration and partnerships, not pitching. Yes, influencers cost money. Everything actually costs money. I'm just saying, but it could be a trade for your service. It could also be a trade for, listen, I want you to talk about this bottle of water here, and I'm going to give you 500 cases of it or whatever. So, it could be just that simple. I have got this amazing, beautiful outfit thing that I want to do because it's a travel outfit, and I'm going to give you 10 of them. So there is, deals that are actually, I would like to be able to be paid $1,000 to do this, or trade for services.
Very cool. Tori.
Yeah, actually, took the words right out of my mouth. So yeah, I would just say when you are new to it, really taking those factors of, you probably want to start working with a micro influencer versus just someone who's real big off the start. And micro influencers, still people with like 5,000 to 25,000 followers. So it's not a small audience. It's just not the people who are 150, 250 all the way, like in terms of followers in that aspect, because it's just going to cost more. So you're going to get a bigger return on investment if you work with micro influencers from the beginning, and then taking that model, that flexible model of potentially bartering for services and, goods and things like that. And, in exchange for them coming to review your product, that can just open up a little bit more like breathing room in terms of just dipping your toe in.
Very cool. I love the same messaging. Here, we're gonna go.
I'm really curious what they're.
I know.
I think working with influencers in general, regardless of what you're trying to promote, it's going to cost something, but you made a good point about it not always being like, oh, I'm gonna pay you X amount of money.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, there does have to be some sort of exchange because they are making content for you. But I've done a lot of PR where it's just, they sent me like 4 items of clothing for in exchange for like 1 reel or 1 TikTok. And so sometimes it can be something like that, and depending on what is, I guess, better for your business or more realistic for you is what you can do.
So to build on that, because I have a question. If I am a designer of t-shirts and I send it to you and you're like, this is not it. But we've already made an agreement that you're gonna make content for me, will you actually do it? Or will you say, thank you, but you don't align with my business?
That's a tough situation to
I'm
be in.
sorry, I totally put her, I went off the script. I totally put her off.
A lot of the time, I'm very intentional about making sure that I know exactly what I'm getting before I agree to anything, because, yeah, that's a very awkward situation to be in. Because especially when it comes to fashion, since that's like one of my main niches, I really don't want to promote any clothes that I wouldn't wear myself. Because I also have to style it most of the time in the video. So it's like, well, I don't know how I would style this because I wouldn't wear it. So in that situation, if there is a opportunity to give the item back, I would go for that first, but yeah.
Excellent, great advice, thank you. And Chloe, sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
You're good, because I'm gonna go off that. I've had a situation like that happen to me, which is why I make it very clear from the start that I have to, like, I have to align with the product or whatever before I agree to any, I'm gonna promote it or sort of thing. A lot of times when you receive PR, they aren't necessarily looking for you to make content out of it. They're looking for like a shout out on a story or something like that. And that sort of thing, I'm usually okay with, but something that's like permanent on, for me, Instagram, so I have to be like, I have to already know you guys, or we have to have some kind of relationship. So I would say the relationship is the most important. Paige, right?
Which one?
At the end. Oh, Kylie, okay. What you said about like, you don't want to be pitching to
Yeah.
them and you want to be collaborating and like working together, that kind of relationship is super important before you start like sending them stuff. I guess if you're a new brand, not a new brand, sorry, working with a new influencer and you're reaching out, trying to build that connection, you definitely have to make sure first that they're going to like the product that you want them to pitch to all of their audience, because if they're authentic with their audience and their audience knows the kinds of things that they like, then why would you go for someone that it would work out with,
Yeah.
really? So.
Very cool, great answer. Super, thank you. So we have all kinds of things. Time and trade barter. Start with the micro influencers, be flexible, love it all, love it all. What advice would you all give to a business that has never worked with an influencer before? They're brand new, they know about it, their time is sucked through TikTok, but how do they, what advice do you give to a business who's like, okay, I think I want to try this route?
I think we still stay with trust and being authentic. There's no magic wand that you wave. You're trying some things. I like where you went with the mini influencers, the micro influencers. So I'll give you an example. Through my nonprofit, I work with the formerly incarcerated, trying to help them start businesses instead of staying in the minimum wage nightmare. And there are, I never even knew this until I started down this path of research of influencers in that market that have been formerly incarcerated. So they're all over the place in the sense of their numbers, their trust, their this, their that, how authentic they are, will they work with me? And so I go back to telling the businesses, do the same thing, do your research, have conversations with them. What does your heart and mind say about this influencer? Are they excited about your product, or are they just doing this? Because you can do the research, you can see what they like, what what kind of lifestyle they have. Do they like fashion? Are they, are they really into tourism? Or are they just saying it because they're trying to get jobs? So, but then also be very clear on your expectations. You can have a contract, but a contract is only as good as everybody that comes to the table to sign it. So really just be clear about what your expectations are and start small, because then you can't go wrong. You can always like, oh, okay, that project didn't go so swanky, or that project went well, and we would love to be able to hire him or her, and we want to go to the next step. So then you can go grad, go big or go home.
Excellent point. Right.
Yeah, that consistent and meaningful engagement is really like critical in this aspect. When we bring people in for tourism, when we bring influencers in, they're not necessarily going to go to one location. So there's a lot of collaboration. So looking into that collaboration with other businesses that align as well. So they might come in, one of our most recent ones came in, they went to the Virginia Bison Farm, they went to Grill 309, they went to the Culpeper Museum, they went to the Burgundy House. I mean, they went all over the place, and we kind of built this experience and this story with them throughout it. So look to your neighbors and keep that kind of collaboration open with other businesses. It also might help a little bit with that upfront cost. Imagine if you're sharing that with like 4 other businesses, it breaks it down a little bit further, right? So really just, sharing your passion and telling your unique story resonates more deeply than generic stories as well. So keep that in mind. Us as Culpeper Tourism could tell you all day that Grill 309 has the best burgers in Culpeper. But if Kylie knows Culpeper and she's a foodie blogger or influencer and tells you that Grill 309 has the best burger, you're going to trust that more. So look for that sort of influencer that's going to give a little bit more power to the words than maybe you as a business can. So
Kind of like the parent telling you and then the friend.
absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect. Allison.
I think one of the biggest things when you're starting out working with influencers is just making sure that you're making a genuine connection with all the people that you're working with. And there's something that I've noticed recently when a brand would reach out to me. I don't know if it's because of a misconception or generalization about Gen Z, but I receive a significant amount of emails where they just spam emojis to seem like young and hip. And it's kind of scary.
That's perfect.
And I think it's just important I don't think it's really authentic when they do that. I'm like, I don't think he would usually write an email like that. And I think professionalism is important. And it's just all those things combined. If you do it well, it creates a better bond with the influencer that you're working with. And you don't want to scare them off by just being like aggressively happy. I don't know. It might just be a me thing, but it kind of puts me off.
Yeah. Just imagining a whole email just full of emojis, trying to decipher what it says. Yeah.
That's funny.
There are actually games with emojis. Chloe.
This is the biggest thing for me. I cannot stress this enough. I think you should give the influencers some kind of creative liberty when it comes to putting out content about your brand. Because, for example, a brand reached out to me and they wanted to send me glasses, like 4 pairs of glasses. And I was like, oh, this is great because I actually wear glasses. And I like getting new lenses for like fashion purposes, obviously. But in the contract, and I did go through with this, but if I like the glasses enough, I'm just gonna make my own ad for it because they told me how they kind of wanted it to go, and I was like, this isn't exactly my style, but it's okay. I'll do it for this because I do like the glasses. But I'm just gonna go ahead and make another thing and see how that goes because I found that the ads or campaigns, anything that I've done with the brand, when I was given creative liberty, those turn out so much better and do way better. And then I actually draw in other brands that I might want to work with because they were like, we really like the thing that you did with this brand. But I feel like if I told them, I was like, yeah, well, I had another thing that I did with them, but I preferred this one. They'd be like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why this one turned out better. You never know what the influencer you're working with could bring to the table in terms of like the art that they make. So I think it's always good to just, I don't know, give them some kind of leeway with the stuff that they put out because their audience is going to notice when something is different too, for the sake of like an ad.
Great point, great point. So, the branding, again, know your branding, super. So we've got all sorts of things. The advice that was given, be authentic, that we've heard that word so much, right? Know who you and your business represents. So make sure you have a mission, make sure you have values, consistent engagement. I loved that point. I think Tori made that point. Generational trends. Super cool. Would have never thought of that. So thank you. Professionalism and then the creative liberty. Again, with creative liberty, you're talking alignment. We've heard a lot about that. So what advice do you have for someone looking to grow their audience authentically? How organically, if you will.
You've got people, if you, like if you had somebody on the social media side, they have some that are like, hey, we use it by growing ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, all this kind of stuff. And then there are on the other side, people that use organic marketing. And it's hard. It's to grow your brand authentically and organically takes time. And some people like just want to go to the end of the race, right? They just want to get there. It doesn't happen unless you got a lot of money to spend on ads. So it is consistently, it is sharing the stories, being prepared that it's not just one story. It's not just one ad. It's you've got to have the long haul out there to be authentic, and consistency is the thing. So be prepared, have your marketing, you don't just all of a sudden pop up and say, oh, I got to do a live today. I've got to do a video today. Those take time and planning. So it's the long haul of it, I would say.
Great advice. I love the point you made about knowing the story.
Yes.
That's great point.
Right, yeah, authentic growth, it requires a lot of time and patience. So you do have to be patient with it. It's essential to develop content that reflects your true values. We've said it multiple times up here. But it also has to foster two-way communication with your audience. And so that's the regular posting, the active engagements, the strategic collaborations, all of that combined is going to build yourself authentically. Posting regularly, most audience can. If you post regularly, you're going to see probably about a 30% increase year over year, but that's can, right? Additionally, partnering with local creators can expand your reach by 20 to 25%. So take that into factor. But you're really just here to create a foundation for sustainable audience growth, right? So you're going to build trust, and that will then also cultivate loyal followers, and those followers will become brand advocates. So as long as you're continuing to that patient growth, if you're doing it authentically, if you're not paying all sorts of money into it. My very first job, it is zero marketing budget. But it was for a major brand. I also was not a marketing person. And so I was just a young person who knew what Instagram was, and they said, here you go. And so I said, cool, I'll just keep posting and eventually it'll become something, right? It took probably all of my 5 years there before we actually had a sustainable audience, because I also had no clue what I was doing. But it was bourbon, so everyone likes bourbon. So, But really what it took was a lot of patience and growth, and you have to keep up with the trends, keep up with what people are liking these days, keep up with, use ChatGPT, but also recognize that if you throw all of your stuff into ChatGPT, if people are going to start recognizing that it's in ChatGPT, does it have too many emojis? Does it have the weird long dash, right? So be mindful of all of that as well, because you're going to lose people. You're going to lose audiences. I know a lot of young people today, if they think that you put it in ChatGPT, you're done. You're out of there. They're never going to come back to you. So just really take the time, take the patience. Everyone has a whole lot of creativity inside them. So you just got to unleash it out there to the world.
I absolutely love that. Very cool. Allison.
When you're first starting out, whether you're an influencer or a business, and you really want to build like a large community of people that are interested in what you're doing, I think it's really important to like mentally prepare yourself for how long it should take. It might not take that long, but it probably will. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on virality all over social media. And it can be a good thing, but it's a blessing and a curse, honestly. I've gone viral for stuff before, and I don't regret posting it, but it wasn't my usual thing that I would post. So then I gained like X amount of followers, because of this one post where they didn't look at the rest of the stuff that I usually make. And so I reached like a certain number and then there was just a slow decline after that, after they realized, oh, she doesn't usually post like that, which is totally fine, but it doesn't feel that great. So just virality, I wouldn't make that the goal. You want like a slow, steady climb so that you know that everyone that's following you wants to be there.
Back to that whole authenticity, right? Of being and knowing the story. I think, I forget, Tori maybe said that one. I forget. Chloe.
Okay,
Sounds good. I'll take that.
I don't think anyone has touched on why you shouldn't go the authentic route. Growing your audience by means of like bots or like a brand reaching out to you being like, yes, we can get you like 10,000 followers in 1 week. The reason why that's really bad is because it makes your ratios terrible. Because if you have bots as most of your followers, they only like posts, they don't engage, they don't share, they don't send it to other people. And so your rates look terrible. The other brands or anyone else that wants to work with you, it's really bad. If you're the brand, I would say, I think having a huge amount of followers isn't the biggest like goal. I would say that's not that helpful because have you ever like looked up something on Amazon? You're like, okay, I'm trying to buy a toilet, and you buy one toilet from Amazon, and then all you get for the next month are ads about toilets.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So I find like when I see a brand and they're trying to be big, but what they sell is soap, it's like I feel like the average person, they're gonna look and be like, oh, they have great soap, I'm gonna buy soap from them once, but they're not going to follow you because you're not interested in soap, So for a brand, I would say you want to reach a lot of people. You don't necessarily need a whole lot of people following you. And for that, then I would say following trends and stuff does work, I think, very well. If you're the influencer though, and you want your brand to be you, then honestly, I would say following trends might not be the best thing because then you're kind of wish-wash. You don't have a brand if what you're doing is what everyone else is doing. And since we have been talking about authenticity this entire time, I think being, sounds so cringe, but being yourself does work a lot of the time and it makes people feel more connected to you. Hopefully in not too much of a parasocial way, but yeah, I would say that and engaging with your audience is the most important thing you could do as an influencer. Commenting, responding to DMs, just feeling like they have a way to not a direct line to reach you. There does need to be that kind of a boundary, but feeling like they have some kind of relationship with you, even if it's really small, is more important than the amount of followers that you have and the amount of likes that you get. If it's a community, then it works. And I think if it isn't, that's where you can be up and down pretty much all the time, which isn't.
So for clarification, so you're saying that, with your brand, if you reach out to the DM within reason, they have to have boundaries. So you're saying, because they look up to you, they're following you for a reason, you've reached out to them, they know you. And so if you're reaching out, someone famous is reaching out to you,
Yeah.
that's important. Is that kind of what you're saying? That it makes them feel important so you're reaching out?
I would say yes, if it's an important person to you or even not, I think you can learn something from every interaction, every experience. So it is valuable to you to be responding to that kind of thing. And also to the person that's reaching out to you, I would say getting any kind of response because there is a little bit of a stigma about influencers that like, oh, once you hit a certain like a number of followers, well, they're never going to see this. They're not going to respond to me, that kind of thing. And it makes me really sad, honestly. The amount of times that I've gotten that I'm like, I love talking with my audience. I don't know why you would think that I wouldn't. So I'd say it's important to not be like, I'm so far above this person. That's fast.
It makes you more of a person unless it's just someone on the screen.
Right.
Yeah,
And it is how you got there.
exactly. Yeah.
Like, engaging
Why would I
with-
stop
exactly,
doing that?
exactly.
Yeah. I'd say that's important for both the brand and the
Yeah.
influencer, honestly.
I love that. And good points made too, by Jordan and Kylie. So sharing the story, knowing the story, so following it. Time and patience, loved that one, right? Fostering a two-way conversation, again, with reaching out. someone made a point about, trusting. They need to trust you. They're trusting you, going to become loyal to your brand, and then they become your champion as a brand. So great, great feedback. So online, there are voices everywhere. I read something actually yesterday that a customer, before they even talk to anyone about a product or a service, they're going to research it 70% before they even come to you, as a small business. So with so many voices online and the noise everywhere, how do you cut through that noise to make an impact?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And it's, I think you ask yourself, have, like, from a business standpoint, you want to be able to choose the right influencer, the one that's really going to make the impact, and the one that's going to take that extra step to make those, like, I'm going to engage with them. My job, my goal, my heart's desire, because I love your product, is to get that engagement built. So that is one of them, as far as reading through the noise, being real, and having it be, wow, that was so amazing because I got to engage with her. She liked my stuff and I liked her stuff, and that makes you feel like you're in a community, you're solid. But also, it's like making sure that the goal is aligned with what you're selling, the voice, the action. Trends, for me, they fade out, but being real stays. And so the noise sometimes is just like, it is just really noise. But is it real? Is it really your people talking to you? Is it really your community? So I like to be able to just people see through the noise if you've done your job as to building that real solid platform.
Love that point. People see that noise. Great point, Kylie.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a pretty crowded digital landscape right now. There's influencers for everything. There's brands that promote all sorts of things. In tourism, every community has a tourism department that is pushing to come to their community. So what we try to do is we try to spotlight unique community stories, local artisans, events that may be found somewhere else, but it's better when it's in Culpeper, right? So we're at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we bring in the landscape, and we bring in all of that into the metrics. And we have found that when we take all the little elements of Culpeper, we generate 50% more in terms of those, I'm going to call them vanity metrics, but the engagement rates, right? So those quantitative higher than our generic content. When we kind of bring it all together, timing of content around events, around seasons, also increase relevance and visibility. And then it just all goes back to building that genuine trust through communication with your audience, and keeping your messages in line with your mission, vision, and values. And also it makes it more memorable when you keep it all in line and together.
Very good. Thank you, Tori. Alex?
There definitely is a lot of noise on the internet for just about everything. I think you don't necessarily have to cut through the noise. I think you could just get around it by just picking the right influencer to market your brand. Because there's a lot of noise from, like, oh, this gym influencer randomly talking about, I don't know, I give an example, but like something that they wouldn't usually promote. And so it's like, yes, you have an opinion, but is this opinion grounded in anything that I would care about? And so for a consumer, it's just like, someone mentioned the words mean more when it's coming from the right person. And so it's about finding that right person to promote the thing.
Excellent. Finding the right person. Love it. And Chloe.
I can only speak on this from an influencer standpoint. I'm a small business. Cutting through the noise, I assume by like noise, we mean like just trends or just oversaturation of everyone being online at the same time.
Sure.
I think Allie's right. You don't have to cut through the noise. I think, not to go back, but being authentic. Gosh, you can't get away from this word. I think in terms of trends, is it right?
Yeah, is that right?
That's right. Anyways, okay, yes. Oh, no, that's. But anyway, if we equate the noise to trends, right? Let's say, for example, I don't know if everyone remembers back in the 2010s, or actually like mid 2010s, high-rise jeans was like everything. Everyone was wearing high-rise jeans. I bought high-rise jeans. And then like in 2020, I realized that they made my torso look microscopic. It made it look like I didn't have one. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't the way for me. So I don't think trends are bad. I think they help people discover things that they wouldn't see otherwise. But I think following every trend is just adding to the noise, and it's not helping you as an influencer grow. It's not helping you find your own personal style or voice or sound. So I think being yourself and being authentic is, in a way, like it makes its own impact because you're not doing what everyone else is doing. When a trend goes around on social media, I feel like once you follow enough of them, people start expecting you to hop on this next trend. I've had it happen to me back when I used to be like super into posting about K-pop or whatever. They'd be like, oh, I can't wait for her to talk about this thing, when it's something that I'm not interested in at all. And I'm like, oh, I don't care about this, but everyone is expecting me to. And that gets so tiring so quickly, which is why I don't do that anymore. So I think, yeah, staying true to yourself and being authentic it makes your path not the same as everyone else's, and people do notice that. I'll say that. That's the biggest thing. Just not doing what everyone else is doing just because everyone else is doing it.
I love that. So we're talking about trends, and people see through that noise because of your authenticity. That you made a great point about trends helping your discovery, even if not always positive. So great job. What's your biggest misconception that people, or what is the biggest misconception people have about influencer marketing?
I think if you ask the general public or what their thoughts are, they are very, very cautious. Like, okay, they're only getting paid to say that soap in the bathroom, in the shower with all those bubbles are awesome because they're getting paid to say it. So I think that people are really suspicious about that. Then we go back to, again, being authentic. But if you knew that that athlete was really because, why does he like that soap? Because, he has this allergy or that allergy, and he really does use that soap. They're going to know it though. They're going to know it, and they're going to do the research. So they're going to know he doesn't even use that soap. He likes liquid soap. Why is he doing a bar soap commercial? Whatever it might be. But, so again, knowing, for me, it would be like, why do I have an influencer that is, say, for example, formerly incarcerated, when they're like, no, they weren't. They really only did like, I don't know, probation time or something. So you just really want to be able to align, and then you won't have that, oh, well, is there some fakeness going on? So, and I think that, again, strategy, relationships, and a lot of hard work, you're gonna not have those people that are like, this is totally fake. So you can't fake anything today.
That just like the comment about how people will know if it's AI.
Exactly. Use it for research, but it's not you. It's just to help you. Yeah.
No, I keep getting ads for shampoo that's gonna give me beach curls, and I've never once had.
Yeah, so it's like me and a blow dryer. And I'm like, I don't think I need it. Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. I think one of the things, a common misconception, is it's that influencer marketing is about amassing a large amount of followers. And I think that that's not always going to happen. So if you go more towards campaigns focused on that genuine engagement, you're going to see a greater ROI than those chasing reach alone. It's not always about the followers. It's about the people who you have following you that are engaging with you, because those are the people that are going to turn around and actually shop at your store or come to your restaurant or utilize your services. It's those people. It's not going to be just the people who are just following you to follow you, or because someone said, I like them, so now follow them. So I think, again, authenticity. Marketing is fundamentally about storytelling, a trust, and meaningful connection. So if you take that into your influencer campaigns, you're going to see just a greater return on that investment.
Super, thank you for sharing that, Tori. Allison.
I think a common misconception, and I think it's just because of the amount of like larger influencers or celebrities openly talking about how much they make for collaboration. It makes other businesses feel like they have to pay like a large sum of money to work with influencers, which isn't necessarily true. And I think that just can be circumvented by having real conversations about what the influencer expects, what you're willing to do, and just being 100% about that and not beating around the bush or trying to be like, oh, I mean, I guess we could make that work. Like, if you can't make it work, then just don't say that. But you don't necessarily have to pay them large sums of money. It just depends on what the influencer is looking for and what you can realistically do. And also working with micro influencers helps a lot in that respect. You don't need to get like Charlie D'Amelio to work for your smaller business, especially if her clientele isn't lining up with yours. Yeah. I have no idea what you would want to promote. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think the biggest misconception is that it is super easy to just do. I'm not a full-time influencer. I have a day job, and I know you guys aren't either. Like, you have other jobs that you do. So maybe out of all of those jobs, it's the easiest part. I don't know if that's true, but you have to be somewhat of a visionary. You have to be kind of creative. You have to be good at video editing to an extent, and you don't have to have like amazing equipment, but you have to have some equipment, and you have to know when to post and know what to say. There's so many things. You have to be your own manager. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, you just take a video and you post it and that's it. Well, that was the case that everyone was. And there are people that start fall off and like, actually, it's not for me. There were too many things I had to juggle. There are so many skills that you acquire from doing it. But I think that's why I think influencers should get paid to some extent, whether it's in exchange of services, because it's not just like an easy thing you can do. For me now, I would say, because I've been doing it for a while, it's easy for me. I don't have to think about it. But then when I explain it to someone who doesn't do it, they're like, I didn't know all this went into it. What? So that's, and usually it's the people that are like, oh, well, you would just do it free. No. Not after all the things that I have to do to get it to look good. You just think it's easy because I do it fast.
Yeah. And in a room full of small business owners, we know time. So, yes, and I can't edit a video for anything, so I get that. I'm not sure how we are on time.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Do you want to skip the next question or and go for audience question?
I think so.
Okay, we're gonna go with audience questions. If you raise your hand, I'll pass the mic to you.
Well, I was just wondering on the engagement, if you individually react and respond to everyone, or do you just engage them with like a group message on your whatever form of media you're using?
I guess we'll go the same routine for the audience. Well, first of all, I mean, like, if you had, the busier you get, is it more difficult to engage every single one of them? Yes, it is. But there are some tricks and tools that you can do to help with that. But also it depends on what platform and like what you've got. If you're on Facebook and you've got this great post and people are like giving you loves and hugs and yes, I want to. Yes, I try to engage with each one of them, even if it's small. But if there's 100 or 1,000, whatever it is, you're going to come up with a system for that.
Great answer. Any other questions?
It's so cool. Obviously, thank you for all your hard work, influencers and those influencing us. But I feel like for a service business, so how can you make that exciting? Because it's not a cool product. It's not like a beautiful, shiny pair of earrings. It's pest control. And there are lots of negative connotations about pest management and, you know, those types of things you want to make sure you're looking at. So a service, how can an influencer help with that?
I'm gonna jump in there. I think, you know, as someone who is currently fighting an ant problem, I think what I'm looking at when I think it's all about timing with that. You know the seasons in which bugs are gonna be more prominent. And I think you need to break through the notions that certain things are bad and a lot of things are good if you do it right. Well, you do it right. So you bring in that genuineness, you kind of hit to the heartspring, like the hearts of people who are sitting there trying to look for the service. I mean, I walked downstairs and I was like, I need pest control now because I got ants, right? And so you have to take in the timing and the seasons of things to really tap in and then break into people's algorithms through there. I think that would be something. But then also you need to kind of look into how you can take your brand and make it more than just, pest control, right? You want to make yourself, we are a family-owned business. We are a women-owned business. We are all of these individual things. We're more than just pest control. And then video content will go a very long way with that. So showing people what you're doing and how you're fixing their problems. Yeah, because I'll look at that and I'll be like, I keep getting ads for that Sunday, that Sunday, whatever. I didn't even look up Sunday. I just looked up pest control on Google and it popped up all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm not trying to actually do it myself. So, but really taking the seasonality of everything and then bring in that authenticness of your brand, and that will break through the noise. That there's a lot of options out there for pest control, but if you break it in and bring that local content, you'll bring it to your local audience, which will be great for you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question.
Tori, you talked about time from a time that you will air an influencer's video and then go back to the business to follow up to see what the impact was. About how long after that airs, so to speak, do you go back to follow up and see the impact?
We kind of base it in two different periods. So we'll look at the before, we'll look at the during, we'll look at the after. That after period is probably going to be within 2 weeks to a month, but that doesn't mean that we won't circle back. Especially like in 2 months time, 3 months time, year over year. So we do have the benefits of having a lot of different technology in our department in terms of Placer AI, Crowd Rift, Taggers, Crowd Social. We have a lot of those tools at our disposal that we're willing to share if you guys reach out to us. We're willing to give you any info you need. But we will try to break it down over year because we will sometimes double share, triple share a specific campaign. Especially if it's like a throwback to remember this when this person came here and shared this story here. So we'll see if that boosts any engagement, not just on ourselves, on the businesses online, and then foot traffic as well. Because at the end of the day, our goal is foot traffic and bringing people.
Excellent. Thank you all for coming today. This was a great conversation. Thank our panelists, Kylie, Tori, Allison, and Chloe.